Thanks for joining us on Arirang News. I'm Kim Dami in Seoul. A tropical depression, Jongdari, hits southern parts of the country, leaving over a dozen cars flooded and some flights delayed. The heat that came along with the storm also caused all-time high power demand. Former U.S. President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama are highlighting the second night of the U.S. Democratic National Convention in Chicago. The Republican candidate, former President Donald Trump, continued his campaign in Michigan. In the midst of Ukraine's incursion into Russian territory, Russia now claims to have taken control of what it described as the strategically important logistics hub of New York in eastern Ukraine. Typhoon Jongdari, which approached the Korean peninsula on Tuesday, weakened into a tropical depression, but still brought heavy rain and strong winds, causing some damage in the southern regions of the country. Our Shin Ha-young starts us off.
Typhoon Jongdari, which had been moving north along the west and south coasts, weakened into a tropical depression as of 9 p.m. on Tuesday, according to the Korean Meteorological Administration. It has weakened earlier than expected, and even at its peak, the maximum wind speed barely met the criteria for a typhoon, which is at least 17 meters per second. Although there was no major damage or injuries reported, various minor incidents were reported across the nation. The Ministry of the Interior and Safety reported that as of 6 p.m. Tuesday, 13 vehicles were flooded in Uljugun in Ulsan City. Off the coast of Goseong-gun, Gyeongsang-namdo Province, a fishing boat sank, but the 4 crew members were rescued. On Jeju Island, flight operations were disrupted, with 1 flight cancelled and 145 delayed out of 495 due to bad weather. As Jongdari moved north, it brought hot and humid air, causing a spike in electric power demand across the country. According to the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy, as of 5 p.m. Tuesday, the estimated electricity demand reached an all-time high of 97.1 gigawatts. Rain clouds also reduced solar power efficiency in the Honam region in the southern part of Korea, which accounts for 40% of the nation's total solar power capacity. This led to increased market demand. The surge coincides with Seoul experiencing its longest ever streak of tropical nights when nighttime temperatures don't fall below 25 degrees Celsius, which began on July 21st. While rain is forecasted to temporarily lower temperatures on Wednesday and Thursday, they're expected to rise again on Friday. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
Day 2 of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago kicked off on Tuesday, where former U.S. President Barack Obama is taking center stage, and his wife Michelle touted Kamala Harris as the most suitable person to be in the office as the U.S. president. Lee Seung-jae has more.
In 2008, Barack Obama made history by winning the U.S. presidential election to become the first African-American U.S. president. Fast forward more than 15 years, and the former president and his wife, Michelle Obama, will highlight Day 2 of the Democratic National Convention to garner support for Vice President Kamala Harris, who aims to be the first female U.S. president in history. Having started his career as a lawyer and politician in the state of Illinois, Obama long held support in Chicago, where the DNC is currently taking place. Also supporting Harris on Day 2 of the DNC is former White House press secretary under the Donald Trump administration, Stephanie Grisham. Grisham says while she doesn't agree with Harris on all issues, she's proud to be supporting her. She added that after seeing firsthand who the former president really is, she felt strongly about speaking out. Grisham has held a number of different positions during the Trump administration, but resigned in the aftermath of the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Several Republicans spoke out against Trump on Day 1 of the convention, with more expected to speak during the 4-day event. Meanwhile, former President Trump was criticized for his Tuesday rally in a Michigan town with historic links to white extremism. Trump visited Howell, Michigan, where just 1 month ago, white supremacists held a rally. However, Trump shot down accusations that he's rallying white supremacist support, reminding reporters that President Joe Biden had visited the town in 2021. Trump's campaign spokesperson also rejected criticism of the visit, vowing Trump would speak against hate of any form. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Russia on Tuesday claimed the formation of new military groupings to retaliate against Ukraine's latest surprise attack as it captured the eastern Ukrainian town of New York. And Washington said it has no plans to allow Ukraine to use any of its long-range weapons supplied by Western allies. Yoon-jin reports.
Russia said on Tuesday that it had captured the eastern Ukrainian town of New York, a small yet strategically important logistics hub, and a significant part of Moscow's push to capture the entire Donetsk region. Donetsk is one of 4 Ukrainian regions that Russia claims to have annexed, while it remains a territorial claim that Kyiv and the West have rejected as illegal. 2 weeks after Ukraine's surprise attack on Kursk, aimed at weakening Russian forces, the Kremlin announced on Tuesday that new military groupings were being formed in eastern Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky described the situation in the east as difficult, but the country's top commander says forces have pushed to capture 1,263 square kilometers of territory, including 93 settlements. Washington says its policy of not allowing Ukraine to use long-range missiles inside Russia remains unchanged, despite Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky repeatedly seeking permission to use American long-range weapons and British Storm Shadow missiles. While Zelensky continues to reiterate that being able to use long-range weapons would halt the current invasion in Russia, the Biden administration remains concerned about the potential for escalation, adding that the drones currently used by Ukraine have been effective in hitting Russian targets. Washington is also effectively blocking Britain's request to allow Kyiv to use British Storm Shadow missiles, which have a range of up to 250 kilometers, against targets deep inside Russian territory. Yoon-jin, Arirang News.
President Yoon Suk-yeol may host Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida early next month, according to Japanese outlet Kyodo News on Tuesday, citing Japanese diplomatic sources. This follows Kishida's surprise resignation last Wednesday, with Japan set to hold an internal election to choose its new prime minister at the end of September. In response to the report, the presidential office did confirm Tokyo had shown interest in a visit even before Kishida announced he would be stepping down, saying that the two sides have been working on details, but nothing has been decided yet. It added that President Yoon is open to meeting Prime Minister Kishida at any time as part of diplomacy between South Korea and Japan for what will be the 10th meeting since Yoon's inauguration. Washington reaffirmed its stance that the ongoing Ulchi Freedom Shield exercises are defensive in nature, in response to claims from North Korea that the drills are a rehearsal for an invasion. According to Pentagon Press Secretary Pat Ryder on Tuesday, Pyongyang's criticism of the joint exercises patently false, adding that there are opportunities for the allied forces to work together on interoperability and learn how to operate in dissimilar environments. Now, South Korea and the U.S. kicked off the annual exercise on Monday, which will go on for 11 days. The drills include a computer simulation-based command post exercise, concurrent field training, and civil defense drills. A North Korean soldier crossed the inter-Korean border on early Tuesday, expressing his will to defect to the south. Now, an expert says there may be a loophole in terms of where the crossing took place. Our defense correspondent Choi Min-jung reports.
A North Korean soldier defected to South Korea on foot early on Tuesday. According to a South Korean military source, the soldier, who is reportedly a staff sergeant, crossed the military demarcation line in the northeastern county of Goseong-gun, Gangwon-do province. Wearing a military uniform, they are believed to have walked south using the road along the east coast. South Korea's military tracked and monitored the individual and conducted an operation to guide them into the south. The individual has been handed over to relevant authorities. The area where the crossover happened, Goseong, is close to where South Korea has been carrying out loudspeaker propaganda broadcasts in retaliation to North Korea's continued trash balloon deliveries. It's also near where North Korean soldiers were recently seen laying mines as part of the regime's efforts to prevent North Koreans from crossing the border.
You could say that the defection shows there's a loophole in North Korea's mine laying.
South Korea's unification ministry said that the number of defections by North Korean soldiers could be an indirect indicator of the conditions faced by the regime soldiers near the border. Tuesday's border crossing comes less than 2 weeks after a North Korean resident defected to South Korea by crossing the maritime border. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
South Korea's producer prices climbed again in July on the back of rising costs of agricultural and fisheries products. Data from the Bank of Korea showed that the producer price index, a key inflation indicator, stood at 119.56 last month. This is 0.3% higher than the figure from June. Now, despite a drop in utility bills, petroleum products and manufactured goods also pulled up the producer price index. And compared to the same month last year, the index rose by 2.6%, seeing an on-year increase for the 12th straight month. The South Korean government has announced measures to support vendors and consumers suffering financial damage from the ongoing crisis involving e-commerce platforms Tmon and WeMakePrice. At an economic ministerial meeting held on Tuesday, Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok said the government will provide 1.6 trillion Korean won, or that's around $1.2 billion in financial support to those awaiting payment from the platforms. That's an increase from 1.2 trillion won proposed earlier this month. According to officials, as of Monday, the two e-commerce platforms owed vendors a total of around $600 million due to liquidity issues. And with vendors refusing to send ordered goods to consumers until they are paid, some $27 million has been refunded to consumers since the crisis began. The South Korean government and the ruling party announced their key direction for next year's budget proposal, which will include sharply increased support for small businesses and expanded benefits for families with more than one child. Our Song Yujin has the details.
The government and ruling party will focus the 2025 budget on supporting vulnerable groups, boosting economic vitality, and preparing for the future.
As household finances are tight and domestic economic challenges are expected to persist, various physical and financial policy measures need to follow to address these issues.
During a meeting at the National Assembly on Tuesday, senior government officials and the People Power Party agreed to issue a record 5.5 trillion Korean won, or around $4 billion in gift certificates, offering discounts for goods at traditional markets to support small business owners.
We decided to reduce the number of restricted business types eligible for the coupons from the current 40 to 28.
To address the country's low birth rate and aging population, benefits for households with 2 or more children will be expanded. This includes increasing the subsidy for buying electric vehicles to up to 6 million won, or $4,500, which is double the current amount. Also, for families with 3 or more children, the discount rate on public transportation passes will be increased up to 50%. In response to growing safety concerns about electric vehicle batteries following recent EV fires, the two sides also agreed to deploy 90,000 EV chargers with fire prevention features and allocate extra funds for purchasing unmanned water cannons and other firefighting equipment. The PPP emphasized that the budget for next year aims to maintain sound financial management while also improving welfare for the socially vulnerable. The government plans to submit the final bill to the National Assembly on September 2nd. Song Yujin, Arirang News.
Smart livestock technology is emerging as a way to encourage young people to become livestock farmers. Our Lee Soo-jin went to a pig farm to see how the technology makes livestock farming more appealing.
You can tell just from the outside that this isn't your typical pig farm. This farm in Pyeongtaek, Gyeonggi-do province has adopted smart livestock technology that increases the PSY, or the number of piglets born per sow, per year. It also reduces the infamous foul odor of pig farms, making pig farming more appealing to young people, which, according to the Agriculture Ministry, is an urgent need.
The share of livestock farmers aged 70 and above has reached a record 34.3%. Without younger farmers, the livestock industry could stagnate.
And this farm is an example of how smart livestock technology can be used to attract younger farmers. Each morning, the manager checks the temperature and humidity of the farm and adjusts them in this control room, helping pigs, which are especially vulnerable to respiratory diseases, stay healthy. They're also kept well fed thanks to third-generation livestock technology that makes sure the pigs get the right amount of food. AI-enhanced cameras are used to detect when the feeders are empty, making it possible for them to be refilled automatically. Thanks to these ideal conditions, the PSY here is around 30, compared to the nationwide average of around 24 last year. But the most helpful change smart livestock technology can bring is arguably its role in reducing foul odors.
Before this technology, livestock farms were often plagued by numerous complaints. Getting rid of the smell not only benefits the people in the area, but it also allows for a more pleasant working environment.
Air released from the farm is gathered into an air shower room where a whopping 100 tons of water is used every hour to purify the air before it's released. More widespread use of smart technology at livestock farms like this is expected to encourage more young people to join the agriculture sector, giving it a much-needed boost. As part of its efforts to boost usage, the Agriculture Ministry is providing mentoring programs to teach young people how to use this technology. Continued efforts like this by the public sector will likely result in a new generation of farmers meeting the growing demand for meat through the use of smart livestock technology. 이수진, Arirang News.
Concerns are rising over potential malfunctions and interference in automotive electronics due to electromagnetic waves as vehicles incorporate more electronic components. And here, a new testing facility has been launched, offering comprehensive electromagnetic wave testing for vehicles and specialized support for small businesses, all available free of charge. Our Cha Yoon-kyung has more.
As the driver starts up their car, electromagnetic waves emitted by the vehicle are detected by the antenna, causing the signals on the measurement system to fluctuate rapidly. This phenomenon isn't limited to electric vehicles. Most newly launched cars are equipped with various advanced driver assistance systems, such as lane departure warnings and collision prevention. These advanced systems rely on numerous high-powered electronic components within the vehicle, making it essential to conduct thorough electromagnetic wave tests to prevent potential malfunctions caused by interference. To address this need, central and local governments have established an electromagnetic wave testing facility where companies can conduct comprehensive wave tests free of charge. The facility is constructed from galvanized steel sheets that block electromagnetic waves, resulting in no cell phone reception inside. The facility supports a variety of tests, including interference tests for electromagnetic waves, radar performance assessments, antenna reception evaluations, and provides technical personnel for wave measurement. As electromagnetic wave applications expand across industries, the demand for large-scale testing has grown, leading to an increased utilization of the facility. Electronic equipment that relies on wireless signals requires rigorous electromagnetic wave testing. However, small and medium-sized businesses often struggle to conduct these tests independently due to the high costs involved. With this facility, all companies can now access up to 5 days of free testing, enabling them to perform essential evaluations without the financial burden.
Like its name, the electromagnetic wave testing facility provides suitable environment for wave tests for anyone. Also, we support high-end measurement equipment for free.
Currently, electromagnetic wave testing facilities are available in Seoul, Daegu, and Chungcheongbuk-do province. These facilities provide significant support for the growth of small and medium-sized businesses, while also meeting the testing needs of local companies that require electromagnetic wave assessments. Cha Yoon-kyung, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. We begin today in India, where demonstrations erupted on Tuesday in the country's western state of Maharashtra after 2 4-year-old girls were allegedly sexually assaulted by a cleaner at a school near Mumbai. According to the local media, protesters marching for justice halted trains by occupying a railway station and its tracks. Indian security forces attempted to disperse the protesters using tear gas and batons, and the protesters responded by pelting stones at the authorities. Train services resumed after 10 hours. Indian police said that the alleged perpetrator at the school in the town of Badlapur in the Tain district has been arrested, while the state chief minister Eknath Shinde added that the case would be fast-tracked. Now to Italy, where the search for 6 missing people, including British tech tycoon Mike Lynch and his daughter, continued into the dark of the night on Tuesday following an intense storm suspected to have sunk the luxury yacht on Monday. The British-flagged Bayesian, a 56-meter-long super yacht, was carrying 22 people and anchored just off the port of Porticello when it was hit by what is believed to be a ferocious pre-dawn tornado over the water, also known as a watersprout, and sank. Specialist divers continue to search for 6 people, while one body recovered near the yacht on Monday is believed to be that of the chef of the Bayesian, Canadian Antiguan Ricardo Thomas. Witnesses said that the vessel, anchored only 700 meters from Porticello, just east of Palermo, disappeared within minutes, despite naval experts saying a boat as big as the Bayesian would have been designed to stay afloat for hours even after taking on water. Salvatore Coccina, head of civil protection in Sicily, leading the rescue mission, said there is little chance of finding more survivors. In Kenya, a man arrested over a month ago, suspected of killing some 42 women, including his wife, escaped from police custody on Tuesday in the country's capital, Nairobi. The alleged serial killer, 33-year-old Collins Jumaisi Kalusha, was arrested when the police discovered at least 6 bodies wrapped in plastic bags in an abandoned quarry, now used as a trash dump, which was located near his home. A police spokesperson said on Tuesday that Jumaisi broke out of the Jigiri police station along with 12 Eritrean nationals. Kenya Police Acting Inspector General Gilbert Masengeli added that the police have launched a manhunt to rearrest the escapees and that the force's preliminary investigation indicates that the escape was aided by insiders. Bolivian firefighters on Monday continued efforts to bring forest fires in the country's Santa Cruz region under control, with the month-long blaze already causing significant damage to residents, wildlife and the landscape. According to an official report, the forest fires have devastated over 2 million hectares of land, with over 500 firefighters deployed in the Santa Cruz, Beni and Pando regions. While the forest fires forced locals to flee and scorched the wildlife, a biodiversity team from Santa Cruz Natural Resources Directorate rescued animals, including anteaters and lizards, which will be given treatment before being released back to their original habitat. Kim Xiang, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. Heavy rain has been pouring down in central regions due to Typhoon Jongdari, which weakened to a tropical depression last night. And through late this afternoon, the capital and Gangwon-do province could receive 30 to 50 millimeters an hour of downpours, along with strong winds. And central parts of Korea need to brace for a lot of rain into tomorrow. So a heavy rain watch is in place for most of the central areas in Chungcheong-do provinces. A wind advisory is in effect along the west coast, and a high seas advisory remains in place for waters of Jeju and parts of the West Sea. So please stay away from the water today. Temperature-wise, Seoul woke up to a new record of 31 consecutive tropical nights this morning. Highs should be about 7 degrees lower today, topping out at 30 degrees here in the capital. Daegu, Gyeongju, Jeju topping out at 34 degrees. Now, today's rain will not bring the much-needed weather shift to the country, so brace for heat through the end of the month. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
That's all we have for our midday edition of Arirang News. Thanks for watching.